So circling back to that idea of leading with your expertise instead of the typical visibility pieces.
Welcome to Seven Figure Copy, the show where we refine your messaging so it reflects the level you're now operating at with clarity and confidence. I'm Gina Whitehouse, your expert conversion copywriter, and this podcast is for established, expert-led female business owners who know their work is exceptional but suspect their website and sales copy may be underselling the caliber of what they deliver. In each episode, we'll explore how strategic, ethical copy elevates your website, sales pages, and core messaging so your words communicate trust before someone ever books a consult or starts a conversation with you. If you're ready for a trusted partner who helps you clearly articulate what you do and why it matters, then you're in the right place. Hey everybody, I'm Gina Whitehouse, your host of the Seven Figure Copy Podcast, and today I'm going to be joined by Elaine Timms. Now, Elaine is a Pinterest strategist who helps established business owners turn their expertise into long-term visibility without chasing trends or performing on social media. I'm really excited to have Elaine join us today, not only because she's going to share her expertise with you, but because I have actually worked with Elaine. I had her help me set up my Pinterest account with a strategy a couple months ago. So we're going to share a little bit about that. But beyond that, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how your messaging connects directly to discoverability. This is so important. And why clarity is what allows platforms like Pinterest to consistently drive traffic to your website, your offers, and your services. We all want traffic coming to these places, right? But traffic without alignment, especially messaging alignment, it doesn't convert. And messaging without visibility will not help you scale. So this conversation really fits perfectly into the season theme, which is messaging that matches the caliber or the level you're operating at, because we want to get your messaging and copy to a level where it matches what you do, but then we want people to find you, right? So both of these things have to be in alignment for them to work together so you can scale your business and get more sales. So let's get into this discussion now. Hey, Elaine, I am so excited you are here to chat with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Gina. I'm excited to chat.
Yes. So Elaine, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on here, and we'll just start with this full disclosure. I have worked with Elaine to get my Pinterest set up, and it was something that I thought about doing for a very long time, but just never really had the time and, to sit down and do it. And I know that SEO is very important and long-term visibility is important. Social media, you post something on Instagram and it goes away really quickly, or only, a very small percentage of people see it. So that's one of the reasons why I contacted Elaine at the end of this last year, because I knew I didn't have time to do it myself. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring in an expert to help me get this started for my own business. So Elaine, I wanted to bring you on today to talk to our listeners about Pinterest and why it's important for long-term SEO. And we're going to talk a little bit about how your messaging also integrates with that. So let's start with this. My listeners, my business owners who are listening, they have fantastic offers. They're experts at what they do, but they need visibility. Okay. Mm-hmm. And these are established, expert-led business owners, and they're exhausted by social media. They know they need to be visible. So from your perspective, what's confusing about visibility, or how visibility is taught today in the business world?
So visibility to me is taught as it's actually a marketing tactic. It's just been sold to business owners that they have to show up daily on video, on socials, on stories, name the platform. And that is the only way to stay visible. And then that a lot of business owners don't realize that there is another way to be visible, but it's flipping the marketing mindset. And that is a big task from, the messaging that you see online. So the marketing mindset flip is leading with long form content that features your expertise, your thought leadership, your wisdom, if you will, and then pulling for social media.
That's really good. I like that you brought up the mindset and flipping that, and how marketing, use the word marketing tactic, that we have to be showing up daily when perhaps we don't.
You really, truly don't. But again, like it's been sold to us, Because there is some work that goes into a long-term marketing strategy that leads with search and discovery, as opposed to being on video where you can get in front of people what feels a little bit more instant than, say, like waiting for somebody to search.
Okay. Well, you've made a clear distinction, I've heard you say before, between being visible and being discoverable. Can you explain that difference a little bit and why it matters as a business matures?
Right. So it matters. Okay. So being discoverable is having content that answers search intent. So in other words, instead of trying to get in front of somebody, you are creating like almost like a content archive library that somebody can come in and pull off that piece of content off the shelf to consume, therefore making you visible. And then it's linked and it's optimized to whatever your offer is. And we can go into a little bit more of that. Now, standard visibility, that is, again, circling back to that social, like having to be on video, having to be on all of the time. Being discoverable is not you being on, it's leading more with your thought leadership. Hopefully I explained it well there.
No, that's really good. And I understand that. So what I hear a lot from my clients is that they don't want to perform. They don't want to do the silly dances. They just don't want to do something that doesn't feel authentic to them online, right? They want to be themselves. So why does search-based platforms like Pinterest reward clarity and consistency over the personality-driven stuff, the performance, like the dances, the silly things, or the frequency of being on all the time?
Right. So the biggest difference is, leading with a search-driven marketing strategy, it gives you depth. So you're leading again with like your thought leadership, as opposed to, like, here I am and I'm flashy.
Look at me.
Like, look at me and please engage with me. Like, there's a time and a place for that. But when you have that, search driven, you don't have to be on all of the time. You don't have to engage in that way. You can let your work actually do the leading, as opposed to like the tactics.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with doing those things. Let me just say that.
No, there isn't.
I feel like if it is your personality that you're just like that and you're energetic and that's how you want to show up, then 100% do it. Right. I just know I'm not like that. And I know you're not like that, because we were just talking about how we're pretty similar. And I am definitely more introverted, but when I show up online, like I like to show up just coming forward with my expertise and my knowledge and how I can help.
Right. And that's exactly how I feel too.
Yeah, we both feel that way. Which is why, months back, and I'm like, I really should get on Pinterest, because I think it would be a really great way to get in front of more viewers and get my podcast episodes out there too, drive more traffic back to the website. And I know it's when something lives out there, then it just keeps living out there, and people find it. Right. Rather than doing that funny reel and you're wondering, is anybody looking at this?
Trends that come and go, and that probably don't actually fit your business. Like leading with a search driven marketing means like actually doing things that fit in with your business, that move the needle forward, that show that you are the expert that you are, that a trend just can't do most of the time.
Yeah. So let's talk about authority building a little bit. I know that those of you listening right now, you may have realized that when you started your business, you didn't just start a business, but you also became a content creator. Right. So many of us have, and it's like the one hat you have to wear where you're like, I really don't want to do this, So let's go along this line here of the content creator. My listeners, right, they want their expertise to speak for itself. So how does Pinterest support that kind of authority building?
So it goes back to like a more long form evergreen content approach. So that would be creating blog posts. So this is always good. We're going to have to create content, but the difference is creating that blog post that shows that expertise is something that you can continually update moving forward, as opposed to having to start from scratch. And so like any of the blog post strategy can also apply to video. You can record like a longer video that then also showcases your expertise and then build pins to that. So because Pinterest supports authority building, because people are answering the search intent as opposed to being there to entertain. So it's a completely different audience. People are very intentional. They want to be inspired. They want to plan something. They want to learn something. So it's a very intentional audience, as opposed to something that is like dancing, trending, as we've already spoken about, that is not really authority building. It's more of like keeping up, where Pinterest supports authority building because you're leading with that expertise piece.
Okay, that's good. And going back to the long form content idea really quick, there's different types of long form content, and you don't have to be doing all of them. You can just stick to one of them. It could be video.
Pick
could
one
be
and go with
blog post, podcast. But you can start with any of these and create long form content out of it. Like if you started with video and you're on YouTube, then you can transcribe that, make that into blog posts, pin to the blog post and the video. Like myself, I start with podcasting and then I can transcribe these. I can turn them into multiple blog posts, up to 3 or more blog posts, pin to those blog posts, but also pin right to the podcast page itself, So there's just a lot of opportunities there to point to what you're doing online in many different ways and almost just saturate it, right?
Absolutely.
Using those keywords where people can find you.
It helps your social media strategy as well, because when you actually start with the long form content, you can then break that into bite-sized pieces that actually might move the needle a little bit better than keeping up with a trend that you see everybody else doing. That actually might make you stand out.
Right. Absolutely. No, I agree. So you've said that traffic doesn't create clarity and that it amplifies what's already there. What happens when someone drives traffic to a message that isn't fully formed or doesn't represent what they offer now and the caliber of what they're offering today?
Right. So that's, it all comes back to like creating a post that answers one question. I think we know that as marketers, like business owners, we can't oversaturate that piece of content answering too many things. So when you have an offer that matures over time, if you've created that long like sales page, an FAQ page, like no matter what the piece of content is, blog post, video, you can go back and update that. And so the traffic will still land on something that still answers the search intent. So that is something to keep in mind. When you are creating content, is that you do want to do that keyword research piece first to answer the search intent. And so that way, when you're creating the content and you have a message that matures and grows over time, you can actually just update and you're not going to lose the traffic.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think that makes sense. So I'm going to try to say that back to you. We'll see if I I'm interpreting it right. And this is something that I had not thought about. So let's say you're using Pinterest and it's going, you have a pin that's, maybe let's just say it's going to your homepage, your website homepage. And over time, you've worked with a lot of different people. And maybe over the last year, you have maybe niched down in some way, right? So you're refining your messaging there. Well, you're saying that I could just go back to my homepage, update the copy there, update my messaging, but I still have that pin that's been out there for over a year and it's still driving traffic to that homepage.
And it's still related. Where you want to stay away from is if like you've done a complete rebrand or like you've just taken a whole sharp left turn, then obviously those pins aren't going to match and you just want to leave that content and then create new. But yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's really good. That's something that I haven't even thought about yet. So I think if it's an aha moment for me, then for those of you listening, it might be an aha moment for you too. If you've ever thought, my business has evolved, but my website still feels pieced together, or my expertise is strong, but my messaging doesn't reflect the level I operate at. I want you to know right now that you're not alone. Every established business owner reaches this point where your growth just outpaces your message. And when your message doesn't match the offer or the service you provide now, it costs you credibility, clarity, and premium opportunities. So I'm here today to tell you that I want to help you go from second guessing how you're presenting your offers and expertise to showing up online with messaging that feels cohesive and aligned with the caliber of your work. Today, I'm inviting you to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me to determine whether you need a strategic copy audit or high converting done for you copy that finally reflects the level you're operating at. Go to the show notes today to book your call or visit www.whitehousesm.com. So let me ask you then, if someone doesn't go back and update their messaging, right? The theme of season 3 is all about making sure that you have messaging that matches the caliber of what you're offering. Because my listeners, they have wonderful things. They have wonderful services. They are experts. And as time changes, their business has evolved and their messaging needs to match the caliber of what they're offering, or else they're underselling themselves. So what's the danger of them not going back and making sure that their messaging matches what they offer now?
The dangers would be is that, you can get a lot of bounced traffic that arrives at the website, and, at the search intent is not answered. It's not what they're looking for. And then even if somebody, is confused, it will lead that to confusion. And then there's also the potential of wrong fit clients, kind of like your marketing backfiring, because, obviously we all want to get those right fit clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you were saying that, I was writing some things down because some things came to my mind automatically. And that was, first of all, someone landing on these pages where your messaging is not matching what you're offering now. Now you see a mismatch, right? It's kind of like when you're looking for a certain service and you go on Google and you're looking it up, and then you go to that person's website and you're like, oh, the website's not even there anymore.
Right.
Or you're like, I thought I was looking for this, but then when I went on the website, it said something totally different. You know what happens to me every time is that I go somewhere else and I end up falling into the hands of their competition. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just because they didn't update their messaging. Another thing is, and it runs along that same train of thought that I'm going on now, is that it really just kind of downgrades the view of that business, like the the credibility of the business and trust. And I'm just talking from experience here, is that when I go and I'm looking for, someone to work with, as far as like someone who I need them to do a service or whatever, and if I see that, let's see, it's 2026 right now, right? 2026. And I see, that says something about like, well, in 2021 or 2016, I'm like, okay, this hasn't been updated in a really, really long time too, then again, it makes you want to go somewhere else, right? It takes away from it because that trust there is kind of degraded, right? And you're just like, I don't really know.
And it can become broken, right? On so many levels with clients. And then if you've made all that effort to get your SEO strategy and your Pinterest strategy in order, it starts to break trust with those platforms as well, because the platform knows you're not answering that search intent. It can tell by the engagement signals. So overall, it snowballs into a problem that you don't want to have.
Right. So here again, you guys, we're saying that your message needs to match where you are now. And the other thing, and I think we touched on it, is attracting the people who are not the right fit clients. We all have so much time on our hands. And if we have people who are not the right fit clients reaching out to us like all the time, then you've got to respond to those emails. And hopefully you are responding to them. You could just say, no, I'm not going to at all. Right. But it's just going to takes time, or you end up on discovery calls with people and you're like answering a lot of questions. And you're like, didn't you see this on the website? But then you realize, oh no, it's still speaking to that old ideal target audience that I had in the past, but I've changed over the last 6 months. Oh, I need to change this. So, okay, good. These are all really good things to keep in mind. So I want to know, in your opinion, How do you see someone's copy or messaging acting as a filter and not just a magnet? Because I talk a lot about how your messaging is going to attract that ideal target audience that you want. But how do you look at it as a filter when it comes to long-term visibility?
So long-term visibility from the standpoint of a search-driven marketing strategy, it filters because, again, we circle back to search intent. You're going to hear me say that over and over again, that if the messaging is matching that search intent, it filters out the wrong people that might not actually want what is offered. Whereas copy as a magnet, that to me is more of like a social approach. And both are needed. You need to filter, you need to have copy that filters and also attracts. So it is like finding that balance. But in terms of long-term visibility, doing the work of a long-term strategy, you definitely want to have that messaging in place that's going to filter out the wrong people. So again, circling back to that time piece and not wasting it for them or for you.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. So if you were speaking directly to an expert-led business owner who feels like they're doing all the right things, but visibility still feels heavy and it feels hard, maybe a little daunting, what would you want her to understand about how growth works at this level?
At this level, you've definitely collected the expertise by now. And it's again, changing that marketing mindset. So circling back to that idea of leading with your expertise instead of the typical visibility pieces. Because visibility can feel heavy. It can lead to burnout. It feels all time consuming. But growth at this level is actually a shift of leaning into that expertise instead of kind of leaving it over on the side and doing the trend and then showing people how you're an expert. You're actually doing the expert work up front. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Yeah, no, it does. It does. So for those people listening who are thinking, okay, perhaps I didn't think about using Pinterest as a strategy for my business to drive people to my business so that I could be found more, so I could be discovered more. But now they're thinking about it. What's some advice you would give them as far as what are some first 1, 2, or 3 first steps they should take to start using Pinterest to get on the platform?
Right. So the first step I always tell people is to go and review your business to pick out, what are questions that people are looking to have answered? What are some terms that people use to find out more about what you do? Once you have collected that, I would go over to Pinterest on the search bar and see what is being searched within that niche, jotting down, making notes. And then the third piece that I would add is then, marrying those search terms to the content pieces that you have. So it's reviewing the long form content that you have, videos, all sorts of different content works. But those are definitely the first 3 steps to getting started. There is a piece of optimizing the account. And so you're already setting yourself up for success by doing this initial foundational work at first. A lot of people do feel overwhelmed by this. And if that's the case, then there are Pinterest experts like myself that you can bring in to help with these beginning pieces and or actually take over the strategy if you're finding a lot of searches and you can see that there's a lot of content that is in your niche and you can absolutely rank. You can actually bring somebody on to manage the account for you, which are 2 things that I offer.
There's a lot of good stuff there that you said. And as you were doing that, I was thinking about something that I wanted to add to that too. But before we get to that, let me just tell you, okay, so my experience with Elaine has been great. I have loved working with her. And like I said in the beginning, this was just something that I didn't want to take on myself. And I had Elaine come in and start my Pinterest account for me. We started pretty much like mid-January, right? It was set up.
Yeah.
And she didn't just go in there start a Pinterest account for me and fill out the information and say, okay, you're done. No, she did the keyword research for me, which was so great. I didn't want to do that myself. It all came to me in like an Excel type spreadsheet, which had multiple tabs on it. And when I saw all those multiple tabs, I was like, woohoo, let me go see what's there. Because you see the first sheet and
A little
you're like,
gift.
okay. Then I'm like, ooh, tabs, right? I'm such a nerd.
Okay. Yeah.
But she did the research, and once she did the research, then she created the boards, and the boards that she created were created around these keywords. All right. And then she gave me the Canva templates to use to start creating the graphics, but also in that Excel type spreadsheet, Google sheet, whatever it was. I still call it an Excel spreadsheet.
I know, right?
I know. Yeah. Us old people using my little air quotes there. Anyways, she has an area where you can like start cataloging all your stuff. So for one, maybe it only took me an hour and I just started cataloging everything I have. And now I'm even thinking about more things to either create or things that I haven't cataloged. And so I'm nice and organized. She's giving me the Canva templates. But what I'm getting at here is that I started with a strategy.
Right.
I didn't start trying to figure it out on my own. I didn't spend hours doing this. Instead, I brought Elaine in, an expert, to help me with this. And I feel good because now I'm doing Pinterest without guessing. I'm doing it with a strategy, and that's going to save everybody so much time. So Elaine's wonderful at that. But back to the last question about how to start in those first steps. All of those steps were very good. And at putting my expert conversion copywriter hat on right now, I'm going to add to it, and I'm going to say, have your messaging dialed in and in place before you go to Elaine.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's going to make it so, right? It's just going to make it so much easier. Now you have a direction and you don't have to like go back in the middle of all this and be like, oh, I need to go back and fix and tweak all these things, which is just going to cost you more time. In fact, so one of the things that I offer to my clients, and it's one, I would say an easy way to put one foot in the pond of working with a copywriter is doing the 1 hour messaging strategy session. And what that is we get together for an hour, talk about messaging strategy. But before we meet, I've already put together a 15 to 25 page messaging document. It's called the Blueprint, Messaging Strategy Blueprint document. And it covers your whole business. It basically says, this is your foundation. This is your messaging. These are your brand pillars. This is your elevator pitch. These are all the pain points. These are all the desires of your ideal target audience. These are the demographics. These are all the people that are your competition and how you differ from them, right? So it's this big document that even if I never worked with that person again, they can take it and give it to a VA or another marketing agency and say, this is who I am. Well, I created one of those for my own business, which I should have done this like over a year ago, but I did one in December. And so when Elaine and I started, I handed that to her. And I just
very helpful.
Yes.
Very,
thank
very
you.
helpful.
I'm so glad it was, because I'm like, you know what? I need one of these for myself. And when I bring in someone, I can hand it to them and say, this is who I am. So if you're at a place right now where you don't have that dialed in, just know I am here. You can always reach out to me, book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me. We could talk about what you need, and then we can get you in the schedule to get that done before you reach out to an expert like Elaine. And she would appreciate it if you had something like that,
honestly,
right?
I was just thinking that. I was like, yes, please do.
Yes. Have your messaging dialed in. Know who your ideal client is. And once you have that dialed in, then it makes it so much easier for her to set up the keywords and do the keyword research, really.
Yes, absolutely.
For you. Absolutely. Okay. Well, it has been great talking to you. I want to ask you one more question that I ask all my guests, and it's this. What's one responsibility you've let go of or plan to let go of that has allowed your business to expand, make a bigger impact, or attract better fit clients?
Okay, so the first one right off the top of my head is that I am somebody that was a bit of a control freak. I had to have my hands in everything. So just recently, like at the end of last year, I have stepped back from the delivery, mostly on the management side. Like I still run the strategy, but like the actual delivery, I have finally hired somebody who is absolutely
Very
wonderful.
good.
So it's proving to me that, like you don't have to be great at everything and that you can bring people in. And that's just allowed me more time to get out of my own way, which is something that I've always struggled with as a business owner, even though I've been in business for about 8 years now. Getting out of my own way is allowing me to have better conversations with right fit clients and having the time to do it.
Very good. And what I heard you say there is that you said you don't have to be great at everything, but
Right.
a lot of us are very good at many things in our business. And even
Absolutely.
if you are, you can hand it off to someone else. Like,
exactly.
yeah,
That's exactly it.
Yes. Very good. I agree with what you said there. So how can we find you online? How can someone reach you?
So the first place to check is my website, which is elainetims.com. I love to hang out on LinkedIn. So if you want to send me a connection request, I love to connect with people over there. I am on Instagram under Elaine Tims Creative. That is the agency handle. I'm not as active on there, but you can still connect with me there. And I'm over on Threads, actually. It's a fun place to be. So if your listeners haven't, tried that one, that is actually a low lift marketing place that feels good as well. I'd love to connect with you over there as well. I also have a download that is a Pinterest strategy guide that is basically giving you a whole overarching viewpoint of everything that Gina and I have discussed today, and it's free. You just head over to my website and you can download it from there.
All right, great. I love all of this. It's really been fun working with you.
It's been so fun working with you.
I've really enjoyed it, and I would say to anyone right now who's listening, if you've ever thought, oh, Pinterest isn't for me, it's just the place where you go and download recipes and find fun crafts and things like that to do, open your mind to think that it could actually help your business. And
that's why I always say, go to the search bar. How to get started? Go to the search bar. What are people looking for? You might just surprise yourself.
Yes. So if any of this has resonated with you guys, I'd love to know. Let me know. Let Elaine know. And if you need her help, please, she is a wonderful person to work with, and go check her out and have a conversation with her. All right. Thank you,
so
Elaine.
much, Gina. Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today on this episode of Seven Figure Copy. If this conversation resonated and you know that your messaging, that your copy is not matching the caliber of the wonderful work that you do, then please reach out to me at whitehousesm.com to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat. Let's see if we're the right fit for each other and if I'm the right conversion copywriter for you. And I'll see you next time.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.